Hey everyone, Grayson the Bard here, and today I am going to be doing my first impressions video on the Gunlance in Monster Hunter Wilds. No opera music opening skit for this one because I didn't have time, and I really was just looking for an excuse last time to use that, that bit for the hunting horn. I am a recent adopter of the Gunlance. I only really started playing it in Monster Hunter Rise. And so I was very used to the, Bullet Barrage, the Hail Cutter move, all of that being available from the jump, as well as being able to zip around on the wire bugs for additional movement and evasion and all that fun stuff. So jumping from Rise Gunlance into Wild's Gunlance was a big adjustment. What you're seeing on screen is actually my first hunt that I ever did with the Gunlance, and despite that, I think it felt really good, so I was still figuring a lot of stuff out as I was working through this hunt. I was very worried when I picked up the Gunlance and knew that it was going to be much more similar to the World Gunlance, which I had never played, than Rise. I was very worried that it was going to feel way too slow and sluggish and like I couldn't keep up with the monster, but I have got to say, and I think this is probably my favorite thing about this version of the weapon, is it feels really mobile and really easy to stay on top of the monster, even if it jumps away from you. I never felt like I had much difficulty closing the gap on Chatacabra, who we are fighting again because, of course, I'm pretty sure Chatacabra is this demo's training dummy, unfortunately. As much as I love him, he's good for hitting. Similar to what I said about the movement speed of the hunting horn in Wilds, with the Gunlance, everything feels a hair slower than it did in Rise, but also much faster than I would have expected it to be in World. I feel like especially the reloads happen so much quicker, and that is a real nice improvement to really be able to get back into the hunt and make sure you're providing as much big boombastic attack as you possibly can. I don't have as much to say about new moves because, again, like the Rise version of Gunlance is very different from this, so pretty much everything was new to me. Some things that I really like. I really like the fanning burst as opposed to your standard full burst. Like, you can either do your full burst where you slam your Gunlance into the ground and have the explosion hit the ground, or you can swing your Gunlance up in an arc and do a fanning wave of explosions, and that is such a cool move, and I absolutely love it. I could not, for the life of me, figure out how to do it consistently, though. I get one very early on in the hunt, and then I spend the rest of the hunt trying to figure out the button inputs I did to make that happen, and sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing. I'm still honestly not 100% sure how I got there. Moves in this version of the Gunlance all flow into each other really well, and it feels really nice and intuitive and clean, and I absolutely love that. I mentioned that I started with Rise, and one of my favorite builds that I ever did was very Bullet Barrage focused. It was a Vampire Gunlance build, and the focus attack on the Gunlance in the Wilds beta, and what it's going to be in Wilds itself, reminds me a lot of Bullet Barrage. You have the reload at the beginning, you dash into the monster, and then if you hit a wound, you deal a bunch of little pops of damage followed by a massive explosion. Which, baby, that's Bullet Barrage. This is Bullet Barrage to the Squeakquel, and I think it is a really, really cool move. I'm realizing this now as I'm recording, I'm wondering how possible it would be to use that as a gap closer. Even if you don't hit a wound, you do kind of dash in for the attack itself. So potentially, if you have some distance between the monster that you just need to close, you can do the focused attack, get in, not get the benefit of the wound explosion, but you will still, get right up in the monster's face again. That could be really useful for really quick, jumpy monsters. I also unfortunately, I don't get a good camera angle on it, but I also get my first guard clash in this video, and oh man, I was excited about those when I saw them in the trailer, but pulling them off feels incredibly satisfying. Being able to, knock a monster back, do a big explosion of damage. I am really curious to see. I'm going to have to try out. I'm going to do another video for Lance, and I'm going to do a video for Greatsword in this vein as well. and I want to see if there is a difference in power between the guard clashes. Like, are there certain weapons who want to be getting those guard clashes more? Like, with Gunlance's explosions, I get the feeling it might have an edge in terms of how effective the guard clashes are. I think Gunlance is going to have the edge. I'm going to have to test that. I also imagine in the base game there's going to be skills that will augment those clashes, maybe make them more powerful, but that's something I'm going to have to wait and find out later. Other things that I really like about the Gunlance in Wilds, the mobility is amazing. It feels really good to stay on top of the monster. Being able to move while guarding is great. Something I don't think I did in this video, because I very much enjoy the full burst playstyle, not so much the regular shelling, is if you charge your shells, instead of just firing off one shell at a time and having to recharge it, the longer you hold down the charge button for your shells, you fire them all off at once. So it's like doing kind of a stationary full burst. I can imagine this being really powerful with a wide shelling Gunlance, but I would have to play around with that a little bit, and unfortunately, you can't do that in this game, or this beta. I'm going to talk guard points a little bit, because as I mentioned in previous videos, I'm really not good at them. I'm not the best at the stuff that requires perfect timing, but something I really appreciate about Wilds, and I'll talk about this more in the Lance video as well, is now they have like a visual flash, a visual indicator of when the guard point perfect guard window is active, and that I think is going to really help a lot of people like me who are timingly challenged to get better at timing those guards in order to make the most advantage of them. I realized during this hunt I was getting more perfect guards than I think I had ever gotten in Rise in total. So I think that is an amazing change, and it's something that I'm looking forward to see if that is also the case for the Lance. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. Oh, also, with the perfect guards, when you are doing the quick reload now, you have a guard point. Your shield flashes for a little bit, so you can get a perfect guard while you're doing a quick reload, and oh man, I can imagine for people who are really good at that kind of stuff, for speedrunners and the people who have been playing the Gunlance for much longer than I have, I can imagine pulling off some crazy nonsense with that, and I am excited to see what people can pull off. Now, in terms of the negatives for Monster Hunter Wilds Gunlance, I don't have a whole lot to say. I really liked everything. The only thing I really miss is I miss some of my Wirebug quality of life stuff. I miss Hail Cutter. I miss the really huge bombastic moves. But I feel like we're going to get that with the focus attacks, and that's fine. So, I mean, honestly, Gunlance is all wins for me right now. That is going to be all for me for today, though. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been having an absolute blast with the beta, and I hope y'all are too. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Tell me what you think about Gunlance in the comments. Tell me what you're excited about. If you notice anything that I didn't during my hunt while watching this video, please let me know. There were a couple people who pointed out some things that I didn't even see when I was doing the hunting horn. Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Don't if you don't. And until next time, I'll see you next time.